Now on Boston 25 News at 10, your local station.
Now at 10, we're staying on top of a developing story in Dorchester.
A man shot and killed in broad daylight.
As always, in every single one of these circumstances, we need our community's help.
The latest on the search for the person who pulled the trigger.
That storm coming from the west, running into a block. What that means for your weekend forecast.
Israel ramping up its offensive against Hamas. Thousands fleeing Gaza as a major ground attack gets underway.
There is a certain fear that we all have. We are all scared. We are in fear, but we are not in despair.
The extra security precautions being taken at local synagogues.
And hear from a stunned New England woman after a hungry bear breaks into her home and steals her food. First at 10, we're staying on top of a developing story. Hours after a daytime murder in Dorchester, Boston police are searching for the shooter. They say a man was shot in the head this afternoon and later died. Thanks for joining us. I'm Vanessa Welch.
And I'm Mark Ockerblum. Police responded to the scene at around 2 this afternoon on Corona Street. So far, no arrests have been made. Boston 25 News reporter Christine McCarthy has been following the story throughout the night. She's live outside Boston Police headquarters. And Christine, a brazen shooting in the middle of the day.
That's right, Mark. And you know what really struck me about this crime scene was seeing multiple school buses filled with children passing by this area just an hour or two after this murder occurred. This happened in the middle of the day when a lot of people were out.
Our office and law enforcement will do everything we can to bring the perpetrator of this incident to justice.
The search for a killer continues hours after a man was fatally shot in a Dorchester neighborhood Friday afternoon. It was shortly after 2 o'clock, broad daylight on Corona Street, when Boston police say they received a shot spotter alert, their gunshot detection system, and found a man suffering from gunshot wounds, including to his head. EMS would pronounce him dead at the scene.
Homicide investigators and district investigators are on scene canvassing for video as well as for witnesses.
The street remained closed for nearly 4 hours as detectives worked to gather leads on the shooter. No arrest to put this community at ease, but a plea from law enforcement to come forward with tips.
We need the community's help. If anyone knows anything about what has happened here, we need help. We need your assistance.
A terrifying crime feet from where families live and a need for answers and justice.
Man, to pray for the family involved here and for this community.
And police have not yet released the identity of the victim to the public, but say they'll likely release his name tomorrow. We're live outside Boston Police Headquarters in Roxbury. Christine McCarthy for your local station, Boston 25 News.
All right, Christine, thank you.
Time now for a check of your forecast. Nice evening out there as we take a live look at the ZACM in the city of Boston. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz. And Kev, you say our weekend plans can go ahead for once.
I do believe so. There'll be a few places we're going to have to watch closely, but let's start here. It is cool out there tonight. 54 in the city, even across the water to Cambridge. But Watertown down to 50. You don't need to go far to find some 40s, like in Bedford, 44 degrees right now. Carlisle's at 47, even Winchester at 49 degrees tonight. To the North Shore we go. John Cena's hometown, West Newbury's at 47. Old Newburyport is matching that. On the South Shore, it's cooled off to 41 in Pembroke, while it's still 48 at the beach in Marshfield. And you want to go out to Cape Cod and find some 40s, you'll do that here as well. Mashpee, in one of the places, at 48 degrees. Sandwich is down to 53. And on Buzzards Bay, Wareham, 46. It's really a battle this weekend. A storm coming in from the west, trying to move through this storm that's blocking it off to our northeast. And what that means for your morning is you're getting off to a good start. We won't have any rain in here for sure through lunchtime and into the early afternoon. Even a little bit of sun to start your day. If you have brunch plans, 53 degrees at 10 a.m., getting into the upper 50s noon to 3 o'clock, with some towns hitting 60 to 62 degrees. However, there will be some rain in some spots, and I'll have that for you.
Now to the latest on the war in Israel. Israel's ground offensive in Gaza is getting underway. The country launching more strikes in the 7th day of fighting since Hamas launched a surprise attack last weekend. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the offensive is in its early stages and vows to wipe out Hamas. Palestinians are pushing to evacuate northern Gaza. This video shows families piling into cars, carts on the backs of trucks trying to flee. Israel's military has ordered more than 1 million people living in that area to evacuate. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin traveled to Israel today. He says they will make sure Israel will have whatever it needs to respond to the Hamas attacks. Reporter Mike Tobin has more.
A chaotic exodus of Palestinians from northern Gaza after Israel's military warns more than 1 million people to evacuate south. Dropping leaflets in Arabic across the territory, the clearest sign yet a ground invasion against the Hamas militant group is imminent.
They threw down leaflets saying everyone has to leave. They threw us these leaflets or else they will annihilate the area with anyone in it. What did the women do to be terrorized like this?
The United Nations warns so many residents fleeing so swiftly, so suddenly, combined with food, fuel, and water shortages, will be a humanitarian disaster. A source tells Fox News Hamas is preventing some civilians from leaving their homes, but many are braving the traffic jams to escape. Israeli officials reiterate their ultimatum, a total siege of Gaza until militants free about 150 hostages taken during the weekend raids. The Israeli military saying for the first time its forces have been operating in Gaza, conducting small-scale house-to-house searches for weapons and the missing hostages. 3 miles from the Gaza border, our colleague Trey Yingst visited the site of the music festival that was attacked by Hamas terrorists on Saturday.
This was supposed to be a joyous occasion, and it turned into a nightmare for so many. More than 260 people were gunned down here before those militants went on to the next village, slaughtering women and children.
New video shows those militants firing on porta potties set up at the weekend festival. The U.S. Defense Secretary meeting with top Israeli officials, reinforcing American support for its longtime ally.
I ordered additional assets to the region to bolster deterrence.
That was Mike Tobin reporting. President Biden has spoken to the families of the 14 Americans that are unaccounted for as a result of the violence.
Police here in Massachusetts are on alert after Hamas leaders called for Muslims around the world to hold a global day of rage to protest attacks by Israel. Boston 25 News reporter Rebecca Turco picks up the story for us from here.
Continued calls to unite for Israel as people in the local Jewish community process what's happening in the Middle East.
And unity is our biggest asset. Unity is our strength.
Police stood watch at today's rally in Gloucester, and they're standing watch statewide at the different synagogues and mosques.
That does two things. It deters, and it makes people feel more comfortable.
Boston 25 security analyst Dan Linsky says police at every level are on higher alert now, adding security at places of worship that could potentially be targeted at the different religious community centers and schools. State police say there have been no credible threats, and their fusion center is monitoring this rapidly changing situation.
There's been increased patrols throughout the week.
Cities like Brookline with higher concentrations of Jewish people are calling in extra personnel. Every department's contributing, marked and unmarked patrols. Lieutenant David Hill says there's an ongoing flow of communication with the local Jewish community.
There's been no direct threats to Brookline or the general area, but we're out there and we're vigilant, ready to go.
Where we stand together.
That vigilance is reassuring for Rabbi Avremi Raychik as he and his congregation cope with the attacks abroad.
There is a certain fear that we all have. We are all scared. We are in fear, but we are not in despair.
And while police are expanding their presence, they say people like you are still their front lines. So the old saying rings true: if you see something, say something. Reporting in Brookline, I'm Rebecca Turco for your local station, Boston 25 News.
Students from the northern Israeli city of Haifa are here in Massachusetts, and they arrived in the country last Thursday. They're giving us a taste of authentic Israeli food, music, and dance. They're part of an annual cultural exchange program, giving young Israelis and Americans the opportunity to experience life in each other's countries. And while the news back home weighs upon them, these young students at Congregation Beth El in Sudbury put that aside for a few hours to show us what normal life is like back home. We spoke with the event organizer, who said the community came out with an overwhelming show of support.
We initially anticipated just our close families and people here of the temple to attend, but following the attack, so many people wanted to come in and show their support, and we had to stop selling tickets 2 days ago because we were at capacity.
Proceeds from the event will be donated to first responders, soldiers, and evacuated families in Israel. We have continuing coverage of the crisis in the Middle East on our website, boston25news.com. To get breaking news sent right to your cell phone, download the Boston 25 News app.
The juvenile is under arrest in connection to a stolen SUV in Worcester. Police say the vehicle may have been involved in 2 alleged abduction attempts in the city. A woman was walking near Greenbrier Lane around 5 Thursday morning when she says a white SUV drove by her before backing up. She then says a person told her to get in a car before she ran and hid in a nearby yard. Later that morning, a man walking near Winfred's Ave reported a white BMW pulling up next to him. He says a person in the SUV demanded money from him, and another person told him to get in the car. The person got out of the car and tried to grab him. The man hid in a nearby yard before they left.
A school in Uxbridge sheltering in place after a person wearing a leather jacket and a full-face Halloween mask walked onto school grounds while young children were at recess. This happened at the Taft School on Capron Street around 11 a.m. School staff called police, and within minutes the individual was in custody. That person is now being charged with disturbing the peace and disturbing a school assembly. Police say this appears to be an isolated incident and there's no threat to the public. Police are asking for your help in the search for this man, Hubman Hunter of Lynn. They say he's wanted in connection with the shooting along the Caribbean Carnival parade route in Dorchester back in August that left 8 people wounded. Anyone with any information on his location is urged to call police.
Traffic alert for Red Line riders. Partial closure begins tomorrow along the Ashmont and Mattapan branches, so repair work can be done on the tracks. The MBTA says when the work is completed, it will end dozens of slow zones currently in effect. Other upgrades will be made to lighting in and around the stations. The closure will start tomorrow morning and last until October 29th. Shuttle buses will replace all service between the Ashmont and JFK UMass stations.
We have seen a lot of bears in New England this year, but this one was quite unique. You'll have to see it. What happened after a bear broke into a home and stole a woman's lasagna?
New details in the Turtleboy blog arrest connected to the Karen Reed case. What new court documents reveal was found inside his home.
And up next at 10:15, a new wrinkle in the race for House Speaker. The latest person.
You don't get any more local than this. I grew up in Walpole, went to school there, raised my family there, went to college in Boston. So yeah, I know the area well.
When it comes to New England weather, I've pretty much seen it all. Growing up here, being educated here, forecasting here for over a decade. That's what gives me an advantage to give you the most accurate forecast.
I've covered stories from all over New England. There is nothing better than loving the people and the area they are covering. Boston 25 News is your local station.
Every night. Seen here in Dedham as we continue to stay on top of this breaking news.
Stories break.
This story's still developing. We're going to take you there live.
We just arrived here on scene and many neighbors are wondering what happened.
Your local station is live. Boston 25 News.
It has been a wild night already. It's an alarming story that concerns some passengers.
Doing what it takes to keep you informed.
Power outages with gusts over 40 miles an hour.
Live in Braintree.
Live in Haverhill.
Live in Worcester.
Turn to Boston 25 News at 10.
Your local station, Boston 25 News.
Boston 25 News, the only station with the Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz.
And all that sunshine.
He's been here for you for over 25 years.
With that front, some big thunderstorms are firing up.
Through all kinds of weather.
And right now, if we weren't all covered up like this, our skin could freeze.
Making sure you're always safe and prepared.
What is important is how it's going to impact your life.
So when it comes to weather, watch the only station with the Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz.
My name's Adam, and I'm from Medfield.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm from Randolph. Growing up and living here helps me better understand those stories I'm writing for the website.
Wareham, gateway to the Cape.
Born and raised in Waltham.
Hey, I'm Sully. I'm the Nightside executive producer. I've grown up here all my life, so whenever I send a crew to cover a story in any town, city, community, I don't have to sit there and stare at a map because chances are I've probably been there myself, and I take tremendous pride in that.
When we say we're local, we mean it. Boston 25 News, your local station. Every day.
Police consider all 3 of these men armed and dangerous.
Stories break.
Our crew's been at the scene all afternoon.
Riders telling us they are just fed up.
And your local station is live. Boston 25 News.
We are following breaking news at this hour.
We did get in touch with Mayor Wu's office this morning.
Doing what it takes to keep you informed.
Reporting live from Framingham.
In Medfield.
We are live in Situate. We're live in Dorchester this afternoon.
When there's breaking news, turn to Boston 25 News.
Boston 25 News.
New development tonight in the effort to nominate a new House Speaker. Republicans picking a new nominee. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan taking a live look at the Capitol, where all these discussions have been taking place, and this coming as another nominee had to drop out after not securing enough votes.
As reporter Rebecca Castor explains, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy may have a chance to win the position back.
On their second day of secret votes this week, Republicans are one step closer to putting a new leader in the House Speaker role.
We'll get there. Democracy's messy.
Congressman Jim Jordan is the party's new Speaker nominee. He originally fell to Scalise in a secret ballot 2 days ago, but is back in the race.
I think I can bring our team together. That's what I've said all.
But a redemption story for ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy is not out of the question. He was removed from the Speaker chair last week by a small group of Republicans, but some believe he's the only GOP lawmaker who could garner enough votes to win the seat back on the House floor.
I'm back with Kevin McCarthy. Since he, out of all of the folks that have thrown their hat in the ring, he is head and shoulders above the rest.
Republicans are holding off on voting on the House floor until their candidate has the votes to win. That could take some time. This vote is all about the numbers, and both parties are telling out-of-town members to get back to D.C. as quickly as possible.
Not having everyone here holds that process back.
We have now very little time, and under much more difficult circumstances because the world is on fire.
That was Rebecca Castor reporting. House Republicans are expected to discuss this issue again tomorrow morning.
New tonight, Vivek Ramaswamy's presidential campaign is reportedly being sued by a New Hampshire landlord for $50,000. According to the Boston Globe, the lawsuit says Ramaswamy's campaign broke its lease in August with no legal justification and still owes $50,400 in rent. Ramaswamy's team contends the accusations, saying they were justified, claiming the building was unsafe and the air conditioning was inoperable during the hot summer months. In April, Ramaswamy had entered a 10-month lease for the 4th floor of a building on Maple Street in Manchester. We reached out to lawyers on both sides and have not heard back.
Logan Airport sharing some exciting news, and the new and improved Terminal E now open. The unveiling comes on the airport's 100th anniversary, and with it, a new and improved experience for travelers. Key details of Terminal E include 4 new gates, new dining options, a new sensory room for passengers of all ages, and an exhibit that explores the events that shaped Logan Airport during the past 100 years. Governor Maura Healey spoke at the unveiling, remarking on the importance of a modern airport.
From the earliest days when things did look very different, that Logan Airport has been a critical economic engine for our state. It connects our people and our businesses to nations around the world. It brings us tourists and students and talents and business partners and innovators and investors. It's our welcome center and our front door.
The Boston Globe covered the airport's opening in 1923 when it was known as Boston Airport at Jeffreys Point. Famous pilots like Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart flew through the airport in its early years.
I remember them. And a legendary independent bookstore in Metro West announcing it will close its doors next year. The owner of Park Street Books in Medfield, right there on 109, posting on Facebook today that he will retire in 2024. Park Street is the largest children's bookstore in New England. For 20 years, they've sold books, toys, games, and more, and provided jobs to more than 100 local high school students. Owner Jim James writing that they're proud to have donated more than $500,000 and thousands of books to schools and other local organizations. You and I have both shopped here and know Jim well, and he is a real asset to Medfield. And you feel bad because, you know, it's a great store for a lot of kids and parents to go to.
Yeah, we love Jim and all the work that they've done, all the high school kids that have been there. But we were saying earlier, where are we going to go for those last-minute gifts for kids?
Exactly right.
I mean, your girls are grown, but we're in there all the time shopping for friends' birthdays.
A go-to spot. But, hey, hopefully someone will carry on the tradition.
I hope so.
It's a great place.
Hope so. Okay.
From your weather experts, here's your local forecast with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz.
We have much to talk about tonight. Now, we know there's a battle going on. We have one storm behind me here, another one to our northeast. This one bringing heavy rain to the Midwest and even some thunderstorms rolling through Illinois tonight on their way toward Chicago. That's the storm we've been watching all week, the one that came in on the West Coast and threatened our weekend, at least back on Monday it was. And as the week has gone on, if you've been following along, I've been dropping the chances of rain each night as this has been developing. And this is the reason why. This is sitting here and spinning, not moving off to the east. In fact, it's looking like it may retrograde or back up a little bit. Playing block for us this weekend, blocking that storm to the west. So we'll start the day with some sun, stay dry through the daylight hours here in Boston and Worcester, Manchester, even southeastern Massachusetts up through 3 o'clock. Now, if you have plans outside after that, for you in south coastal New England. You're going to have to be aware of some rain possibly reaching you. Most of it stays offshore until later at night. That's when the storm, coastal storm, takes effect, the ocean storm, and that starts to throw that rain back into southeastern Massachusetts into the early morning hours of Sunday. Heaviest rain may come around sunrise Sunday and continue through our morning newscast before it pushes on out of here and we dry out again in the afternoon. There'll be some more showers lingering Sunday night into Monday, but really this weekend we're going to escape any heavy rain. Pumpkin Palooza happening, Lawn on D tomorrow afternoon. Noontime is 59 degrees, still some breaks of sun. It'll cloud up, but stay dry with temperatures topping out in the low 60s out there in Boston. Crantoberfest in Middleborough, 60 degrees at noon, increasing clouds, keeping you dry as well right through the event up through 5 o'clock. I don't expect you to get showers. If you're going to get anything, it's going to be early Sunday morning. Applefest off to the northwest in Wachusett Mountain in Princeton, Massachusetts, 57 degrees with sunshine. Now, you're farther away from the storm, so you're going to have more sun than other places. Partly sunny skies through the event, temperatures near 60 degrees, certainly going to stay dry. And then in the evening, Southwick Zoo, you saw us there last night talking about it. It's that great jack-o'-lantern journey, 56 degrees at 5 o'clock and cloudy, threatening looking, eerie looking, but it's not going to rain on you. Temperatures will drop through the 50s. In fact, all across New England, you're not seeing a lot of heavy rain here. Here's your best chance Saturday night into Sunday morning in southeastern Massachusetts. So brunch time Sunday, most of us will stay dry with some sunshine. It's you in southeastern Massachusetts. This may not apply. That's where you're going to have more clouds and the possibility of a little bit of rain. Through the day Sunday, generally going to be dry for most of us, certainly in the afternoon, even for you in southeastern Massachusetts, you're going to be drying out. Here it is, your forecast in full. A small chance of that rain. That's really because of what's happening in southeastern Massachusetts Saturday and Sunday. Otherwise, we are really going to escape with a mostly dry weekend across much of New England.
Giving back to those who served our country.
The special event on the Cape that helped veterans get the services they need.
Warning about immigration in the state. How close the lieutenant governor says we are to reaching full capacity.
And up next, the reaction from our New England woman after she saw a bear breaking into her home. And
we've seen plenty of bears here in New England this year, but this may be one of the funniest.
Yeah, surveillance video captures the moment that a bear breaks into this home. Just goes over to the refrigerator, takes some lasagna,
right there,
and then takes off. He timed this perfectly, too, because no one was home at the time when he broke in. But tonight, the homeowner's talking about it. It was all captured on Ring cameras inside this Connecticut home. A black bear breaks into this house through a window screen and roams around for a bit.
You can see him going from room to room, so as comfortable as I am in my house.
Here you see the bear entering the kitchen, opening up the freezer, grabbing lasagna, then ultimately leaving the house through the kitchen window.
It's very hard to believe. My mom made me some lasagna. I left it in the freezer, and the bear just, took it.
Helena Richardson was at work when she got a Ring notification on her phone about something being inside her home.
I knew no one was supposed to be at home at that time, so I checked, and indeed it was a bear.
The bear is then seen on an outside camera holding the lasagna and walking away on the deck. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the bear did leave behind quite a mess.
It's actually stayed in the house for about 35 minutes.
Conflicts with bears have tripled during the last 5 years in Connecticut. Environmental officials there have 34 reported home entries in Connecticut this year and 2 bear attacks on humans. In 2022, there were nearly 70 home entries. We've had quite a few bear sightings in Massachusetts this year as well. In July, a black bear was seen escaping the summer heat by taking a dip inside someone's pool in Pembroke. And just last week in Kingston, a black bear was spotted walking around someone's yard. As for Helena, she says this is something she'll never forget.
I've told the story a few times today, and people are just like, I almost don't believe you, I have footage.
Yeah, the video proves that experts say black bears are more active during the fall season, and they increase their food intake in order to help them survive the winter.
That's right, because they'll be hibernating, just like we learned in school.
So do you think that more and more of these are happening, or it's just because we have more and more people with cameras and Ring cameras?
I think that's why.
Videos.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
But, they're still going into the house. It's a whole other level. And to know that pull out the freezer, get the lasagna, and then go up, a little boost for him to get out the window.
Yeah.
He had all that thought out.
It's fun to watch.
No sauce, though, unless the lasagna was pre-made. Gotta have the sauce.
Gotta have the sauce.
Gotta go back.
Keeping track of your child's location with the help of their underwear, a local business owner tells us it's not as strange as you might think.
The hope is that, it can kind of bring some peace of mind to families.
how it works in this week's Be Your Own Boss.
From Hollywood writers to nurses to even auto workers, thousands are walking off the job and heading to picket lines. I'm Kirsten Garris in Washington, D.C. The growing factors contributing to this nationwide movement.
And next at 10:30, 25 investigates digging into the latest in the Turtleboy case. The items investigators seized from his home. iPhones and computers were among the items police seized from the home of the blogger known as Turtleboy. That's according to new court documents obtained by 25 investigates.
Aiden Carney was arrested on Wednesday and charged with intimidating witnesses in the Karen Reed murder case. Investigative reporter Ted Daniel broke that story, and as he explains tonight, police now have all of the popular blogger's electronics.
These are the search warrant documents. Included in all this is the things that police seized from Carney's home. The documents list 6 phones, 2 computers, 2 SD cards, and a USB drive. Police will now examine the electronics in search of evidence related to the crimes he's charged with, and the warrants indicate Carney could be charged with more crimes.
I hope they find that Ford Edge.
As some state troopers were arresting Aiden Carney Wednesday, others were busy executing 3 search warrants. The warrants allowed them to seize electronics from Carney's home, car, and in his immediate possession. 6 iPhones, an Apple MacBook, and a USB drive were among the items taken, according to state police. Carney talked about the search the day after he was released from custody.
I need those to work because I'm a blogger I'm an award-winning journalist. Let's be real here.
In addition to seeking evidence related to the 8 counts of witness intimidation he's charged with, the documents reveal the special prosecutor hired by the Norfolk County DA's office is also looking for evidence that Carney made illegal recordings.
So you think Michael Proctor planted that evidence? Not seriously.
One of the warrants specifically references an incident where Carney is accused of following a state police detective to a courthouse bathroom and attempting to question him.
Just me and you in there.
Other items listed on the warrants include Carney's communication with an Avon dispatcher who allegedly provided him license plate information from a law enforcement database, his Twitter account, communication he's had with witnesses, and any illegally obtained oral communications are among the other items listed as being sought. Carney posted that he is now in discussions with a legal team about filing a civil lawsuit against court and police officials for his arrest. He says he will fight the charges on the grounds that he's protected by the First Amendment. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
The Massachusetts emergency shelter system is nearing capacity as migrant families continue to arrive by the dozens. In an interview with El Mundo's La Hora del Cafe, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll said the state is going to run out of places to house migrant families very soon. Right now, more than 23,000 people are being housed in emergency shelters, which include hotels, motels, vacant college campuses, and Joint Base Cape Cod. Massachusetts is the only state in the nation with the law requiring housing be provided for families struggling with homelessness. Both Driscoll and Governor Maura Healey say it's up to state lawmakers to decide whether changes need to be made to the state's right to shelter law or if it should be eliminated altogether. You can see how migrant families are spread out across the state. The darker the color, the more families that are in that area. State leaders continue to call on the federal government to provide new funding to help expand shelters.
SNAP benefit theft victims are now able to get their money back. The Department of Transitional Assistance is launching the new program for people who might be the victims of electronic scams like phishing and skimming. The department is offering some tips to stay protected from these scams. First, change your PIN often. Case managers will also never ask for your PIN. You can also set up direct deposit for your benefits. The program will cover scams between October of 2022 through September of 2024. You can fill out a request form on the department's website or mail in the form.
Historians say an explosion of worker strikes across the nation stems from decades of stagnant pay, and they say people are fed up. Right now, there's no sign of strikes slowing down anytime soon. Boston 25 News reporter Kirsten Garris breaks down what may be causing the trend and how it could impact you.
Labor experts tell me this isn't normal. They say we haven't seen this many strikes in a long time. From Hollywood writers to auto workers and even Las Vegas hotel employees, thousands of workers across different industries are striking this year. Many of them demanding more money, better benefits, and improved work conditions.
Now it's time to be respected, protected, and paid.
Mary Kay Henry leads the Service Employees International Union. It represents 2 million members in healthcare and property services. She believes the pandemic was a tipping point.
When workers showed up every day and were called essential, but treated in some cases like they were sacrificial.
Data from the Economic Policy Institute shows the number of workers striking fell sharply in 2020 and 2021, but then jumped 50% last year alone. Labor historians tell me another factor is the victory.
As workers do engage in these actions, they encourage each other to emulate the demands and to emulate the tactics in some ways.
As Kaiser Permanente reaches a tentative deal, Henry believes it will help more than just workers.
It matters for the patients that they fought for safe staffing so that patients are not on endless hold for an appointment or unable to get the health care that they need.
Historians say even the threat of a strike is powerful, too. Recently, the Teamsters Union used this method to help increase pay for UPS workers. In Washington, I'm Kirsten Garris for your local station, Boston 25 News.
We are following some breaking news. 5 people had to be taken to the hospital after a haunted hayride lost control. Police tell us it happened just before 8 o'clock at the haunted hayrides at Silver Lake in Athol. Thankfully, we're told all of the injuries are minor, but certainly a scary situation for everyone on board. Investigators are still trying to find out how this happened. The local Lions Club says all haunted hayrides have been canceled for tomorrow and refunds will be issued.
Netflix could soon be coming to a store near you. Coming up, how soon the streaming service could put up its own locations and what you will be able to find there.
Many of us will be looking to sit by a fire outside this fall. The warning federal officials have about flammable liquids.
And there are still crimes that need solving tonight. Up next, how you can help police in this week's Mass Most Wanted.
Local police could use your help tracking down suspects in open cases.
And let's see if you can provide some new leads. Here's this week's Mass Most Wanted. We have a couple of cases out of Cambridge for you. We begin with this ID theft and credit card fraud suspect. Investigators say the man you see here used a stolen credit card to buy items at the 7-Eleven store in Dorchester on August 1st. That card was stolen from a gym locker in Cambridge, and Cambridge detectives would appreciate tips in this case.
Also in Cambridge, police want to identify this man. He is wanted in connection with a case of financial exploitation against the elderly. This happened back in May electronically, according to investigators. Take a good look at your screen here. This is a very clear photo. If you can help police put a name to this face, give Cambridge detectives a call. All these cases come to us from the law enforcement website Mass Most Wanted. We also have them for you up on our website, boston25news.com.
Making sure veterans in our area are well taken care of. We'll take you to an annual event on the Cape that is giving free services to those who served.
Atmospheric sandwich happening this weekend, and we are going to be in the middle. What that means for your plans.
Next at 10:45, you turn your back for a second and your child is gone. A local mom came up with the business idea to give parents peace of mind by tracking your little one with the underwear of all things. We'll show you how the unusual concept became a reality.
And this week's Be Your Own Boss, underwear that gives parents peace of mind.
A Franklin mom felt overwhelmed taking her 2 young children on a trip to see family by herself. So she found a solution to keep track of her kids and turned it into a business.
Yeah, Boston 25 News reporter Kelly Sullivan explains how she is using underwear to pinpoint her kid's location.
Clarissa Guyton is one of 9 siblings.
You know, going to the beach and going to these places, always seeing her have to okay, where are my my 9 kids?
Clarissa has 2 young kids of her own and knows how hard it is to keep them in view every second when going to parks and crowded areas. There are options out there like leashes or wristbands, but she was afraid her kids would somehow break free of them.
We were talking about, okay, what's the way that we can kind of keep a tracker on them in a way that's very comfortable for them, and that we can kind of know that it's going to be on their body. They're not going to take it off, rip it off. Someone else is not going to take it off of them. They come in a couple different flavors.
Clarissa and her husband came up with the idea of putting a GPS tracker in their children's underwear.
The GPS tracker just lays flat against your child's skin. Very comfortable for them to wear all day.
With a master's in electrical engineering, Clarissa relied on the help of her mother, who has business and fashion degrees, to develop Treasure Trace underwear. Each pair has a patented pocket tucked inside that fits most GPS tracking devices, like an AirTag.
You would just slip it in, and then you would fold it right side out like this. So what that does is it's got kind of tri-fold to it. So like if your child's like going to reach down in there, they can't actually just take it out, and it doesn't just kind of fall out, right? But it still is going to lay flat for them.
For example, say your child gets home from school and wants to go out in the neighborhood and play with their friends. Meantime, you can stay at home and track them on your phone with their Treasure Trace underwear. So even though you can't see your child from your window, you'll know exactly where they are.
My hope is that, you know, it can kind of bring some peace of mind to families.
Clarissa says it also gives young children some freedom to roam without their parent being glued to their side. As a first-time entrepreneur, she says it's been a learning process. She's been getting help through Amazon's Black Business Accelerator program and also encouragement from moms in the community to make her vision a reality.
I think more people should try, you know, to go after ideas. Because, I mean, a lot of times, like, you know, people say, oh, I had that idea, and then you see it later, you're like, oh, man, I should have done that. You know, I could have done that. So I think people should go for it. It's a lot of work, but it's fun.
In Franklin, Kelly Sullivan for your local station, Boston 25 News.
So picture this. It's Halloween. You're handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and all of a sudden you run out. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? Well, how about giving your friends over at M&M a call? They are running a one-day promotion in partnership with delivery service GoPuff on the 31st. If you run dry, they'll send their Halloween rescue squad to your front door and drop off free Mars candy products within an hour. The service starts at 3 p.m. It's only available for those within GoPuff's delivery area while supplies last.
And that's for free. Wow.
For free. Is that for real?
Yeah, that's what it said. And if you think you are experiencing unexplained events in your home, especially this time of year, well, you're not alone. New survey of All-Star Home reveals 16% of people in the U.S. think their house is haunted, while 40% say they have had unexplained or unusual experiences in their homes. The survey says the most common place for these unusual incidents is in the bedroom, and the most common paranormal experience is strange sounds in the house. Now you know. Netflix is preparing to launch physical retail stores in 2025, offering food, merchandise, and experiences designed around their most popular streaming content. Think shows you like or movies. Netflix has not announced where the permanent locations will be. The stores will be called Netflix House. This comes just weeks after the company ended its DVD by mail service.
A unique event happening in the sky tomorrow called the Ring of Fire, a solar eclipse where the moon will block out all but the perimeter of the sun, making it appear to be a circle of light. NASA says the event begins around 12 p.m. Eastern and should be visible across the lower 48 as well as Alaska. And while it may be tempting, do not look up at the sun. To view the eclipse, you need certified eclipse glasses, a special camera, and telescope lenses. But don't worry, NASA will be streaming the event online for the world to see. Kev, we're going to be able to see this one?
Not like that. You're going to have to watch it online to see it. It's beautiful. Even if we had a clear blue sky tomorrow, you wouldn't see that much. And here's why. The moon is going to be a little farther away this time. That's why you don't get a total eclipse. You just get that ring around the moon. That ring of fire. It's called an annular eclipse. But our part of it is going to see this much, a 17% coverage. So you wouldn't see nearly as much as you'd see on that NASA feed you'll be watching in other parts of the country, southwestern portion of the United States, for instance. You're not going to see that annular here in New England unless you're watching it online. But if you're going to see that coverage, if you have some breaks in the clouds, 1:28 p.m. will be the maximum. Remember, you still need to wear those special glasses if you're going to look up there at it. Storm coming at us, so is going to try to block any sun out tomorrow afternoon anyway. In the morning, you may have some sun, not so much in the afternoon. But at the same time, there's this spin up here. So this storm bringing rain through the Midwest, thunderstorms through Illinois right now, another squall line about to come through Chicago. Then up here into the Northeast, there's that rain that keeps spinning around. This is still sitting there, just like it was at 5 and 6 o'clock when I talked to you, and earlier at 10 o'clock too. It's just not going anywhere fast. And that's why it's going to block that storm to the west. So we'll get the clouds to move on in here, but the rain gets shunted to the south. Connecticut, Rhode Island, western Massachusetts, perhaps coastal areas of Massachusetts get a few showers during the latter part of the day tomorrow. The rest of us just get some clouds. There's the rain that comes in tomorrow night into Sunday morning, and that's because of the coastal storm back here. This is the newest iteration of the computer model showing that rain reaching all the way up to Boston. That's questionable, but the idea here is the best chance for any rain is going to be in the early morning hours of Sunday, really late Saturday night into early Sunday with the ocean storm. But even that's going to push away, salvaging most of your day Sunday. So there's still a possibility of some rain, but most of us will be sleeping during that time. In Newburyport, it's Fall Fest Saturday, 10 a.m. It's 55 degrees with sunshine, but the clouds take over through the afternoon. It will be dry, right around 60. Out in Dennis, Oktoberfest happening. 3 o'clock, it'll be 60 degrees and cloudy. But don't expect rain on your event tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. If you're going to get rain, it's later tomorrow night. To the north of New Hampshire, Litchfield, New Hampshire, Spooky World, 56 degrees and cloudy at 6 o'clock. A nice spooky looking sky, but no specks of rain coming your way. And of course, closer for some haunted happenings. At noontime, it's 58 in Salem, staying dry right up through midnight on the North Shore there as well. If you're traveling this week, and no matter where you're going in New England, you're not likely to see much rain unless you're going to southeastern Massachusetts or into Connecticut. So Sunday at lunchtime, temperatures in the 50s with some sun. Any of that rain in southeastern Mass will push away, so that even at dinner time on the Cape, you'll have dry conditions as well. Got all that? 7-day forecast shows you that small chance of rain this weekend. I've updated the probability just about 10%, although in southeastern Mass it will be on the higher side. To the northwest it'll be 0. So these are averages, and a better chance for some rain again on Tuesday.
Kev, thank you. Local veterans are being celebrated on the Cape.
Dozens of vendors providing free services at the second annual Stand Down for Veterans Cape Cod event. Boston 25 photojournalist Bob Goodale takes us there.
I'm getting a free haircut.
I'm getting banking advice from First Citizen.
I'm having ties. We've got everything here. It's like walking down Main Street.
Down on Main Street.
Stand Down for Veterans Cape Cod is an event that started, the Nexus was a year ago for us. What the Nexus was to help veterans that were homeless to get housing and to get jobs. And it's morphed into what you see behind me, which is almost like another resource fair on top of all that. So we have housing people here, we have job fair people here, we have massage therapist people here, we have free haircuts here, and we have a huge supply depot room.
Down Main Street.
Well, I was trying to find out if there was any Marines that I had served with in my career.
Came here to meet some nice veterans. What this event really is for is veterans to come together, to see one another, to spend time with one another. The community folks that have joined us today are here on their own dime. They're providing information, resources.
So it's very important that we be here today to help educate them and let them know there's a resource out there that can help them.
$1 million.
Stars and Stripes and Smiles,
so
more
beautiful.
importantly today down there. So many people are very grateful for that event to be held. For our Marines, Army and Air Force and the whole bit, we have so much to thank
We have so
for
much
their
gratitude.
service.
Yeah, and they deserve it all.
Yep, certainly do. Well, look at the rundown of what's going up tonight at 11 o'clock. The push to get a new House Speaker getting a lot more interesting. Why Republicans nominated Jim Jordan this time and how close they are to getting a vote.
Large-scale evacuations in Gaza as Israel continues to ramp up its attacks. The security concerns at synagogues here in Massachusetts. It is National Fire Prevention Week, and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is issuing a warning about the dangers of flammable liquids.
Reporter Mandy Gaither breaks down how to properly use and store fuel containers this fall.
From burning fall leaves to fire pits and barbecues, there are a lot of blazes this time of year, but flames and fuel don't mix.
There's thousands of people that are treated in hospital emergency rooms every year from burns and other injuries associated with fires that were related to fuel containers.
The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says properly storing, using, and handling fuel and gas cans or containers are all critical parts of fire safety.
You never want to put gasoline on a fire or an open flame. You want to use only appropriate, approved materials for starting or relighting fires.
That means a fire starter log or stick. Other things to have on hand, a fire extinguisher, water container, or hose nearby in case the fire gets out of hand.
You also want to make sure that you check the weather beforehand, make sure that there's not high winds or gusts, and also check to see that there aren't any warnings of risk of wildfires in your area.
Gas cans or fuel containers should be stored outside of a home in a cool and well-ventilated area, and never store or handle a fuel container near a heat source or flame.
The vapors itself can catch fire and flash back and explode, or they can flash forward violently and burn people nearby.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. As you fill a portable gas container with fuel at a gas station, officials say the container needs to be placed flat on the ground, and the safest place to transport it is in the trunk of a car or the bed of your truck. They say to immediately remove the container from the vehicle when you get to your destination.
This is Boston 25 News at 11, your local station.
First at 11, we're staying on top of a developing story. Hours after a daytime murder in Dorchester, Boston police are searching for the shooter. They say a man was shot in the head this afternoon and later died. Thanks for joining us. I'm Vanessa Welch.
And I'm Mark Hock.